Okay guys, welcome back. It's your old pal Hondo. As you can see from the thumbnail, I'm a huge Zebco guy. You know what I mean? I love the Zebco 33. I think it's one of the best cheap budget option to maybe a more expensive spinning rod or a bait caster. It is basically what they call a bullet reel, or they call them push button reels. They go by many names. They do make more expensive options than these two. They do make the bullet, and there's other honorable mentions of companies that make spin casting combos from Daiwa and Abu-Garcia. Those are great. So don't eat me up in the comment section. This is not about those types of reels. Basically, these are reels that you could basically get at any big box store for, I don't know, 30 to 40 bucks respectively. And we're going to show you guys how to set them up when you first get your Zebco 33 Authentics. Or if you don't like the 33, you could get the platinum option, which is the way better option, I think. If you're going to go with a 33, buy the platinum option. You just don't get the bait alert with that one, but you're getting a graphite rod basically with the other one. And the other one, which is the authentic, is the crappy noodly glass option. The reason why I'm saying get the platinum option is you get 4 shielded ball bearings in the reel. You only get 1 ball bearing with this one, and you get 4 ball bearings, a steel body, and a graphite IM6 graphite rod instead of a glass rod, which we're going to get into that right now. The reason why I think a graphite rod is better than a glass rod with a spin cast reel in particular is because if you're using a graphite rod and you're using monofilament, it's better because it's a lot stiffer. So when you set the hook on a fish, you're not going to lose the fish as much. And plus that, the platinum has a higher gear ratio of 4:1:1 gear ratio. I know it's not a lot of gear ratio compared to a spinning reel or bait caster, but it's still a lot for a spin cast reel. And the newer platinum options are 4:8:1 now. You know, the 2020 versions. These are the older J series, but they're still the same basically because they're the older generation of Zebcos. And most of these Zebco 33 Authentics, the older generations, are 3:8:1, I believe, which is not bad, but it's not great. Better for bait fishing options right there for the authentic version. The other one's good for, like, you know, inline spinners, some light Texas rigs. They do come pre-spooled with 10-pound test, so you don't have to change the line, but I would recommend to change the line to something better like Trilene or Stern, or something better than the Cajun stuff that comes on it. The Cajun stuff's not bad. Keep it on there if you want. Just my opinion. The line rating on both of these are 6, 8, and 10. I would go with 6 or 8 because 6 and 8 is a little bit lighter of a line, and for these reels it actually works a lot better for these reels when you're fishing for smaller fish like crappie, bluegill, red ear sunfish, stuff like that, and trout, to have the lighter line so you could get more sensitivity out of it. If you're going for a little bit bigger fish like catfish and bass and smallmouth, I'd go with 8 or even 10. I mean, like I said, you can go with 10, but 10's a little bit too stiff and too heavy. And I've used the 33 Platinum in saltwater fishing already. I've had this one for a couple years, and I've used it for saltwater fishing because the body is steel and it probably hold up. I mean, both of them are freshwater rods. I mean, but if you're going to use them for saltwater fishing, I did have to up the pound test to like 14. So think about that when you're using these guys. I'm going to show you guys how to set it up. Now, this is the authentic version, which is the glass rod or Z glass rod. It's okay for some freshwater species, but I would not recommend using it in saltwater, even the reel. It's a medium action 6-foot rod. They're both 6-foot medium action. But I think the rod on the Platinum is a lot better. It's graphite. It holds up a lot better. I get better hook sets with that one for bass fishing and stuff like that. So if you don't like this rod, you could ditch the original Zebco rod. Stick it on a ugly stick, which is a GX2 ugly stick right here. This is the same size as the other one, which is a better performing rod. Or you could put it on a luge rod or an Abu-Garcia casting rod. But make sure you guys, when you put one of these spin casting reels on a rod, don't put it on a spinning rod. The spinning rod has a bigger loop on the eye right here. It has a wider loop on the eye guide. Put it on a casting rod, like basically a bait casting rod with a trigger on it. You get better hook sets and casting with it. You won't get no line twists with a casting rod. That's what these little triggers are for. On a casting rod, you can take that reel off of that rod if you don't like that, and put it on a better rod like this ugly stick GX2, or an older generation ugly stick, or the new GX3 ugly sticks. You can put that on there, either 6 foot, 6'6", or a 7 foot medium action ugly stick, or luge rod, or Abu-Garcia or Daiwa rod. If you don't like the original rod, this is a graphite rod, so you can switch the reel out onto this if you want. If you don't like the original Zebco rod, I wouldn't recommend doing it to the Platinum series rod. That is a fantastic quantum rod made out of graphite, so you can do that as well. And again, guys, we put it back on the original rod, but I'm just showing you guys, if you don't like the original Zebco glass rod, you could take the reel off of the combo and put it on an ugly stick or another type of rod that you so choose to do, with a trigger on it. Make sure you, if you're going to swap these reels out, guys, put them on a rod with a trigger on it instead of a spinning rod. They will work on spinning rods, but if you're going to put one of these spin cast reels on a spinning rod, make sure it's an underspin with the little trigger right here in front of the reel, not the one in the back, because those go on spinning rods. These bullet reels, or these spin cast reels from Zebco or Abu-Garcia, or even I think Luz even make one, that have the little triggers in the back, got to go on casting rods. They won't perform right unless you do that. Thing you do, guys, when you get your little combo from Zebco, either the Platinum series or the Bullet series of combos, some of these combos do come with a critical tackle pack with these, with hooks, line, hooks, sinkers, lures, different types of things within that tackle pack that come with these Zebco 33s. You can set it up that way. But usually they got these little tabs in the front of the reel that hold the line in, but if you don't have that, you got to pull off the top, grab the line out of the reel, and grab the line out of here, which I've changed the line with this over the years to Trilene Big Game from Berkeley. You take the spinner cone cover off the top. This is your spinner cone and your pickup pins. These are what pick up your line, and try to stay away from braided lines with these. You can use them. That's just my opinion. Stay away from braided lines, or you will cut a nice little slit in this spinner cone and it'll trash out your spinner cone, and then you'll have to buy another spinner cone. You take the line off of the reel. You can see the line. I don't know if you guys can see it. Push it, hold the spinner cone like this and push it through the hole of the reel, and pull it through the front of the reel like that, and put the cover back on the way it's supposed to go. You got a little drain hole at the bottom. That's supposed to go at the bottom of the reel until it pops into place. Slide it over, push the button on the reel, and take your line and put it through the eye guides of the reel like this, and put the line through the eye guides of the reel like this. This also works for the Platinum as well. Put all the line through the eye guides of the reel. Once you get the line through the eye guides, eventually, make sure it's not tangled around the eye, like, you know, make sure they're all even. The line's going through the eye guides even. You don't want it to wrap around the pole itself. That causes casting issues. But once you got the line through the eye guides, then you can get your lure or your hook, and we'll show you how to do that setup real quick. Okay guys, once you guys get your rod set up with the line going through the eye guides of your Zebco 33, or even your spinning rod or your bait caster, well, this will go for spinning rods and spin cast rods setups. You want to get yourself a bobber. I'm gonna have to keep this in my pocket because it's so windy out right now. You can either use a jig head, or you can use a size 8 Aberdeen hook with a long shank on it for a bait hook, and either 1 or 2 split shots down the center of the line. Now you can go either way with the jig head or the Aberdeen hook. It doesn't matter. If you're going to use bait, I'd go with the Aberdeen hook for minnows, for catching crappie, bass, bluegill, red ear sunfish on the bank. And that also goes with the jig head as well. If you're going to put a small I don't know, Bobby Garland, Mr. Crappie plastic bait on the end of here, or some kind of cream tube, whatever type of plastic bait you want to tip with this, or a gulp minnow, you could also use it like that. But the same concept with the jig head is the same concept with the Aberdeen hook. The first thing you guys want to do when you do this is you want to run your bobber or your float, whatever you want to call it, through the line. You want to, depends on what type of float you got. They got different floats that have like a little button on the bottom where it opens up these like little teeth that you can grab the line with, like this. Grab the line onto it, and then you can adjust the depth of how far you're going to how deep you're going to fish with that jig head or whatever, the Aberdeen hook or whatever you're fishing for. The Aberdeen hook works good for bass fishing too, so you know, you can catch multiple species on this type of setup. For freshwater fishing, saltwater fishing, you want to go with a little bit heavier line, but the same concept. You take the tag end of your line and put it through a float like this first. I'm just using this float as a demonstration. Is pull the line through the bottom of the float like this, and then, you know, give yourself about 2 or 3 feet of line. You could adjust the depth later on for your Zebco setup. Then you put the cork stopper or the line stopper on top of it like this, or you could use this as a slip bobber rig as well, because it has a little hole in the top, and you could put a bobber stop above that, you know what I mean, if you wanted to use it as a slip bobber. Now you got your bobber set up. Now we're going to tie a hook on here. It's the same way we're going to tie the hook as you would tie the jig head on there as well. You get your Aberdeen hook like this, put the tag end of your line through the eye of the hook, which is right on the top, not the bottom of the hook. Put the eye through the top of the hook like this, and put that tag end of the line through the eye of the opposite side of the hook again to tie a trilene knot, and pull the loop really small like that. And we're using 10-pound test, so you know, you want a little loop like that, and then you want to go about 5 times, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, around the main part of the line. And then you take the tag end of the line and put it through both of those loops like this. Grab the tag end line with the other finger like that. Wet the line with your spit, that way it doesn't seize the line and cause a breakage. We already licked the tag into the line, pull it tight, and there you go. We got the Aberdeen hook tied off to that. Snip off the end of the tag line. You don't need too much of it snipped off, just enough. But that is one of the best knots that you guys can put on an Aberdeen hook. Then take your split shot. Take a split shot with the back ends of it, and use your teeth to open it up. Once you open it up, you close the line on, you close the split shot on the loop that you make with the line, and that's pretty much it. And then you can adjust the depth of your rig here. Basically it's just a common float rig with the Aberdeen hook, and you want to take a pair of pliers and crimp the tip of this right here, this split shot down. Now if this float is still standing up like this, you may want to add more weight to it, because you want the float standing in the water like this. But when the float goes down, guys, you just reel the line in and pull the rod tip up. That usually sets the hook on most fish with a bait rig. You do this with the jig head as well on this rig here. You can do this with the jig head as well, and you can put bait on the jig head too. It doesn't really matter. And you know, it doesn't really matter. But basically that is your float rig right here, guys. That's how you set up a float rig. You could take a worm or piece of cheese on the end of that Aberdeen hook. You could hook a minnow through the nose with this and throw it in front of a dock or underneath the dock, and adjust the, you know, adjust the depth of your bobber. If it's laying like this, that means it's too shallow. If it's laying up like this in the water column, that means you got the perfect depth for the bobber. But if you want to adjust the bobber depth, you just pull some more line out until you get the depth that you are required for your fishing. You can move the weight down a little bit if you need to, the Aberdeen hook, and then move this down by pulling the bobber stop on it and adjusting the depth for either bait fishing or using a type of plastic bait rig or whatever with the jig head. Goes as well as the with the Aberdeen hook and the split shot. You still want to put a split shot on this, even though you got this on here as well, the jig head. It kind of helps sink it down really quick. And then what you do when you cast this with the Zebco 33 is you want to reel it really slow while you got a plastic bait on it. With regular bait, you can just let it sit out there until a fish grabs it and pulls it down, and then you reel it in really fast. As soon as the bobber goes down, you reel it fast and you pull the rod tip up. That'll set the hook. You don't gotta pull and strike and set the hook on them like that. You just reel it really fast and pull the rod tip up. It'll set the hook for you itself, basically, either with the jig head, plastic bait, whatever, you know what I mean? Okay guys, that's how you set up your Zebco 33 for beginners for fishing. Really well made rod. Couple of tips and tricks on how to set up your Zebco 33 combos once you get them from whatever store you buy them from for float fishing. You can take this float off and just use a split shot rig itself without the float on here, and put your bait on there and throw it out there as well. You don't necessarily need the float. The float is good, is a good touch for, you know, for newer beginner fishermen who don't really know how to fish very well with the Zebco 33. Either a bait hook trick, or you can use plastic baits with the jig head like I showed you in the rig setup portion of the rod. This rig here, the float rig or just a split shot rig, can catch you trout as well. I've caught tons of trout using a split shot rig without the float. And if you're in a lake, you're fishing for trout in a lake, the float works really good with worms as well with the split shot rig to catch those finicky trout that won't eat dough baits and stuff like that. You can always revert back to using live bait, wax worms. You can use corn, cheese. You can use millworms as well as bait. With this setup, you catch pretty much every species that swims in a lake or in a river. Inline spinners as well. If you guys want to use inline spinners, you can use that with this. You can use Texas rigs. This is just the basic setup of the rod and reel, how to do it. And some tips: if you don't like the original Zebco 33 combo rod from the Authentic series, not the Platinum series, you can go with the Ugly Stick GX2 or a Luz or a Abu-Garcia casting rod. You don't have to be stuck using the original rod for the Zebco 33. You can use pretty much any type of rod you want with it. Okay, I hope you guys like this video on how to set it up for fishing for a beginner or just an avid fisherman. If you like this video, give me a like, share, and subscribe, and tell me what you think about this video, guys. And leave your comments down in the comment section below. It's been your old pal Hondo from Hillbilly Tactical. You put God first, he puts you first every time.